What's up, Tsla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the broader markets. I'm going to break down some big news that just came out involving Tesla's. Elon Musk is talking about the new diner that just opened, not to mention what's happening with the earnings that just came out and when we should be watching for some high volatility. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you sign up for Moomoo with the link down below and deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 25 in total. Deposit $5,000, you're guaranteed 60 free stocks. You'll also qualify for an 8.1% APY on uninvested cash, and the offer ends at the end of July in just 9 days from now. So check it out before they run out. Anyways, as far as Tesla's going, we're trying to bounce on the 30 minutes time frame. We started off with this dip, and we did end up testing that 325-ish area we were talking about in my video from yesterday. But Tesla's now trying to bounce amidst Jerome Powell's speech, and Jerome Powell is remaining optimistic. He can't make promises about inflation so far, and he's still speaking as I'm speaking. But he has said so far that there is a lot of uncertainty about President Trump's tariffs, and that he did acknowledge that the tariffs may be a little bit lower than what we previously expected. But we have to wait and see how it ends up affecting inflation and such, which is why the Fed is being incentivized to keep rates the same. So with Jerome Powell saying what he typically says, the market is actually pumping a bit. This is helping the market push just a little bit. But the question is, will we get some kind of rejection later on? I'll talk more about that in just a couple of minutes. Let's first talk about some big news from Elon Musk and Tesla. So Elon Musk reposted this. The Tesla diner and supercharger in Hollywood, Los Angeles, right? It's looking very, very cool. It's open 24/7 starting now. And you guys can see this is what it looks like. There's actually videos of people inside of it. It looks very, very cool. And you guys can see they're actually following, what it looks like. There's like a very, very cool diner. People can order food. There's also an indoor theater. So people can also watch like movies over there, and they could just charge their Teslas and just wait and see, with all the different amenities. I think it's very, very cool, very, very awesome. And this is what Elon Musk is reposting. There's also a lot of news about this. They're calling it the first retro futuristic diner and drive-in theater. It's featuring the 32 V4 supercharger stalls that once again has opened, and it's just very, very awesome for Tesla. Elon Musk also mentioned that if this goes well for Tesla, Tesla's going to continue to open these. There could be more coming as time goes on. Now, some more news that came out is Tesla's weekly sales in China have fallen about 20%, slipping below the 10K unit mark. But it's just, very, very early into the quarter so far, so we have plenty of time to make a strong comeback. For now, we're seeing a lot of headlines about this. Now, on top of that, there's been some news coming out that California state regulators have argued on Monday that Elon Musk's Tesla should lose its license to sell vehicles in California. And they also claim that, the overall insights about the automated driving is just very, very unsafe. They think that it's unsafe and that it's misleading drivers. So this is what Tesla's basically fighting for, at least right now in court. There were similar allegations made in Florida, but for now we're going to see what ends up happening. Is Tesla misleading consumers, or are they, very, very safe? And is there a lot of misinformation out there? Right? There's different ways to kind of look at things. We'll see what happens with this lawsuit, at least moving forward. Finally, Elon Musk reposted this that now everyone in India can order directly on our website. So people in these areas in India have priority, and they can now order on the website, which is, I think that's very, very awesome news. It's going to help their sales to a good extent. So keep that in mind, guys. This is a good audience, if anything. When it comes to today, I just want to say that Jerome Powell is once again giving a speech. He's talking about inflation and such. The market's pushing a little bit. But at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the Richmond Fed Manufacturing Index, manufacturing shipments, and services revenues. This could cause some volatility at 10 a.m. That's 30 minutes after the stock market opens. So we'll see what that leads to, at least moving forward. So be ready for some volatility. Besides that, there are claims being made that President Trump is trying to strategize and that he wants to once again incentivize other countries to seek better agreements. So we're still waiting to see how these end up go. So keep that in mind. We're waiting on those. And then Brazil has acknowledged the possibility that they may not be able to reach a deal by August 1st. It may take them longer, and that the 50% tariffs could be imposed. So that's what we're hearing from the Brazilian finance minister. That's some more news that's coming out. When it comes to earnings, guys, tomorrow's the big day for Tesla, Google, and IBM. Can't wait for their earnings. But for today, we just got Google and GM. Sorry, not Google, Coca-Cola and GM. Excuse me, guys. Coca-Cola did relatively well. They beat on earnings. We had an 87 EPS, 87 cent EPS, beating expectations. Revenue is a little bit below expectations, but their overall guidance, once again, is still quite good. Good news for them. However, GM had to lower their overall guidance due to the effect of the tariffs. And there's a lot of headlines coming out saying that the tariffs are causing them to lose $1.1 billion due to the higher costs of steel and other commodities. Also, there are auto tariffs affecting them, so not the best of news for GM. Despite that, they did manage to beat earnings, but their guidance was not very good, which is why the share price is down a bit. So please keep that in mind for GM. Besides that, the market's still not too far from all-time highs. Once again, we're still seeing some good growth, but once again, we're hearing some news about how GM has cut their guidance to some extent. Besides that, I'm not seeing anything else that's too crazy on the news, so that's pretty much it for now. Now let's just focus on what's happening with Tesla. So as far as Tesla's going, I do think that it's possible Tesla tries to go a little higher. We try to retest this 330 area, but I would be very careful up here. We need to break and hold above 330 or so to push for 333 next. If we can't hold above 330, there might be some consolidation before we start dipping to 325 or below. So overall, we're just in a range. And I think that there's a good chance we continue to trade sideways in this range for the time being. Looking for an attempt to push to 330. We might just trade sideways here. I want to see us get back above 333 to be more bullish and then lose 325 to be bearish. I anticipate we just trade sideways between 331 to about 328. Then we're going to be looking to see what happens at 10 a.m. Can that launch Tesla even higher back up to 333, or do we get a big rug pull? It depends on some manufacturing numbers and also what pieces of news come out. But as of right now, I see some consolidation near 330. So look for a little bit more upside, and we'll have to see how it goes. On SPY, we're also watching to see, is this a left shoulder? Is this a head? Is this about to be a right shoulder? If SPY rejects and we can't hold above 628, I could see us dump to 626. If we're bullish, though, you want to get back above 630. If you reclaim 630, we're looking for an attempt for 631 plus. So it could go either way. I anticipate an attempt to push closer to 630 for some upside. And then we're going to see if we get some kind of rejection. If we do, there's going to be a risk of us coming back down towards this bottom, if not this low right here. And we're going to see if we end up getting rejected or not on SPY. So look for some upside for 630. We need to break and hold that to continue to go higher. If we can't hold above 630, we're looking for a move back down to 628 or below off this head and shoulders. So be very careful with SPY and watch your levels just to be safe. On the QQQ, it's the same thing essentially. So we're looking a bit more bullish for the short term. I could see an attempt to get back up to 565. We also need to break 566 to remain bullish. If we come short and we can't hold above 565, though, I do see a risk of us returning to the low right here, back down to like 562 or below. So you want to be very, very careful. So look for a test of 565. We need to hold above that. If not, we could reject and continue to dip. For the IWM, we're making lower highs. There's a lower high, and lower high. I want to see us get back above the 222 area. If we can't hold above 222, right, we can't hold above that and start pushing higher, the odds are going to be favoring a move back down to 220 or below. So as you can tell, we're making lower highs and lower lows, and the odds do favor 220 or below. On ES, it's the same thing essentially. So we could attempt to push for basically 6350 to 6360. We need to hold above 6360 to push back up to this high. But if we can't, we're looking for 63.35 as our support, and that could also lead to downside in case we get some kind of big rejection. Right now, there's a possible head and shoulders, so we could push to about 63.50. If we don't hold above this, we could be turning back down towards these lows, so please keep that in mind, especially as time goes on. So you want to be very, very careful. For NQ, we have resistance right here at 23,350. We have support down here around 23,250, and that could be taking us lower. As you could tell, we're just making lower highs. So we need to get back above 23,365 to really start turning up towards the high over here. If we can't, there's going to be a risk of NQ kind of like rejecting again. And we have to also hold above 23,300. If not, I do see this low right here from yesterday being retested. So you want to be very careful with NQ. Can we hold above 23,300? Do we end up breaking past 23,350? We're in a range, so be very, very careful. Bitcoin's looking more bullish after we have some news that came out that was very bullish from JP Morgan. Looking for an attempt for 120,000. We're going to see if we reject or not. And once again, for Tesla, we could be looking for a push for the low 330s, but watch to see if we get a rejection as time goes on, especially at 10 a.m. once our data comes out. Nvda, it's rebounding right now. It held supports, but I do want to warn you guys to be careful when you look at this setup. As you guys could tell, we have this like left shoulder. We have like a head and then like a right shoulder. Now, if we get back above 173, we could try to push back up towards the highs. But if we come short and we reject, we need to see if 169 holds. So if we lose 169, that's bearish. If we break 173, that could be more bullish. We're in the middle for now, so be careful with NVIDIA. It might push when we open for 172.5, then we'll have to see how it goes. For a few more, we're just going to go over a few more before I conclude this video. Netflix is trying to push a bit. We're going to see if we can break 1240. I think it pushes just a little bit towards that area. Apple's looking more bullish, looking for 214 as a target. We're going to see if this rejects or not. For AMD, we're looking for 157 to see if it rejects. There is still some upside potential. Coinbase is looking more bullish, favoring 425. We're going to see how it ends up reacting. Looking at Amazon, we pushed very nicely. We need to hold above 230 to continue. If we lose 228, though, we could turn back down. So we're still technically range bound. Meta is looking more bullish. As long as we're above this trend line, we're going to be favoring an attempt to slowly uptrend for 718 plus. Google might retest 191, then bounce. It's still bullish. And then Microsoft is also favoring 512. With that being said, the VIX kind of pumped. Now it's dipping a little bit, so it's not really doing a whole lot. And the market is remaining a bit more bullish for now. And we're going to see if we get a rejection to start dipping. We could push a little bit and then be very, very careful at 330 on Tesla. Will we break and hold above that, or do we kind of like push, consolidate, and then dip? If we can't hold above 330, we're looking for a move back down towards these lows. So be careful with Tesla. There is still the possibility of a head and shoulders for the short term, but the medium term still remains bullish when you zoom out. So keep that in mind. Anyways, thank you for listening and peace out.